Hi, my name is Michael Mohr. I'm a Jesuit scholastic from the United States, and I'm studying at the Gregorian University in the first cycle theology program. I'm in my third year and I'm in my last semester, and I'm approaching ordination to the diaconate and to the priesthood later this year. So I'm very grateful for the opportunity that I've had these last 3 years to study at such a great university that I really believe has prepared me both academically, but also through the experiences of the universal church to become a better priest. So I ask for your prayers along that journey. But here we should turn our attention to our retreat as we continue reflecting on the Gospel of John, chapter 9. Uh, when we pay attention to the Gospel of John, we think about the different characters that have emerged. John is such a rich narrative text, and it really allows us, with our imagination and the guidance of the Holy Spirit, to enter more fully and more creatively into these texts and seek the ways in which God continues to speak to us through his word. Thinking of characters and thinking of our theme of hope, it would be important to pay attention now to the character of Jesus. Jesus, interestingly enough, appears at the beginning of this long passage and at the end. And in the meantime, there are a lot of people that discuss about him through their own lenses, their own rules, their own regulations. But my hope for us in our prayer can be to focus on the person of Jesus and the things that he says, both at the beginning and at the end. So the time of Lent is a time of being in the desert. That's how it's often been explained to me. But that doesn't mean we should take our eyes off Jesus. In fact, it could be a time to be more closely focused on who Jesus is in my life as I prepare to walk with him in the Holy Week as we contemplate the great gift of his life through the resurrection. So as we work our way towards that anticipated hope, we can also gather hope about Jesus now. Let's look at the words of Jesus when he sees the blind man. He responds about an opportunity to celebrate the glory of God's goodness. Jesus is the light, and Jesus has come to bring light in the world. This is a perfect passage for us to contemplate the theme of hope and the anticipation of hope during our Lenten journey together. For me, when I hear the words of Jesus, the one who is light, we don't want to just think that Jesus sheds light on things, though I think he does, but he is the light. The person of Jesus is the light. And we want to be near the light in a time of darkness. Unlike the other characters later, the Pharisees particularly, who talk about Jesus and debate who he is, Jesus himself tells us that as the light, he is the light, that we might perhaps draw close to him. That in our contemplation of this passage, we could hear two voices, the voices of the people trying to put Jesus in some kind of box to debate his goodness or whether he's a prophet. No, instead, let's look at the words of Jesus himself. I am the light. I am the light of the world. When Jesus says he is the light, the image that comes to my mind is a candle. And personally, I often find that Lent can be a time of darkness in the sense that I'm looking more in the desert, a way to find hope. And so when Jesus says he is the light, perhaps in my Lenten journey, in this time of penance, I should not forget that it's Jesus who remains with me, that in the perception of darkness, I might want to draw closer to that glowing candle. And so perhaps you might even find, if you are so inclined for a prayer period in this text, to light a candle. Perhaps to have a setting of darkness and to see how that darkness does not overcome the candle for Jesus, who is the true light. And this analogy can help us to see that whatever I'm feeling, whatever despair might seem to be closing in, even just the soft, radiant light can be a sign of something more. Jesus' words to us, to those who struggle to see, are a way for us to adopt new ways of seeing, but we need that light. So I think Jesus as the light is a great way to pray with this text. And we can ask Jesus for that hopeful light to begin shining in our life today. We can also consider at the end of this passage the person of Jesus who has come to give sight. And of course, light gives sight. So you can pray with the beginning of this passage, for example, hearing him speak to the one who is blind, hearing him speak to the disciples about blindness, that he is the light. And also later in this passage, you can see Jesus' words when he says, I am here to bring sight. And so we can consider the ways in which maybe I'm not doing a good job of using Jesus as the light, of not saying, yes, Lord, I want to see you illuminate this world for me. I know in my own life that when I'm struggling, the temptation is to look towards myself. Instead, here in the Gospel of John, we're asked to allow Jesus to be the light, to focus on him. And as we continue our journey, we can keep in mind that he is the true character that we should be following. He is the one we should be following in these stories. So perhaps these 2 points can be useful to you as you pray. And I ask that you continue to pray for me as I move towards ordination, as I conclude my studies here at the Pontifical Gregorian University.